microdose, yeah, microdose, 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 dose, microdose, microdose, dose, microdose, microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here. Happy New Year! If you're listening to this, that means you arrived alive and you took my advice. You did not drink. You did not drive. You probably even just stayed in if you're like me. I know I did. That shit was ridiculous. I was in bed, midnight, lights out. It was wonderful. No delinquent neighbors next door, so I didn't get woken up by mortar fire at 4 a.m.
We were remarkably light on fireworks this year. It was kind of good. It was kind of good.
That voice right there is Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Jaimel Hemphill helping us welcome in the new year. Happy New Year, Jaimel.
Happy New Year, Kush. Happy New Year, everyone. So glad. Hope everyone arrived here happy and healthy. It is my fervent wish that you all experience growth and blessings this year. So if you're listening to this, I don't know you, but I love you. And the world may seem like it's really dark. So I'm telling you that so that you got a little bit of light. And don't forget it. All right. We're in this together.
Hell of a way to start off the year and the microdose. Great job. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Dude, I had the fortune of working last night at a Golden State Warriors event. And it was one of the best case scenarios. It was still a 15-hour day. But it's like they asked us very little of me. And I was just like, thank you. I will be happy to just sit over here. But it was one of those things also where I was like, for the first time in a long time, I got bored. I was like, man, I wish this game was over because I'd love to just put these toys in the box. Like, overtime's nice, but I like being at home and doing nothing else. So, last night was Star Wars night. It's not a new thing at the Warriors. It's not a new thing. The Giants, the A's, I'm sure the 49ers and the Raiders do it too. Sharks even. But it's Star Wars night. So I think X number of people got a little bobblehead of so-and-so dressed like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the cheerleaders were dressed up like prisoner Princess Leia, not to be confused with slave Princess Leia. There's a difference. I'm talking about episode 4, Princess Leia. That was interesting. R2-D2 was there. There was a man in a full-on Chewbacca costume, gave me a fist bump, despite the fact that I had a Tootsie Roll lollipop in my hand. I was like, oh, that was rude of me.
that was furry.
Probably made his shit sticky too. And he was like, oh, like that wasn't an official noise. Like that was the groan he makes. It's like, got my fist sticky, stupid. Anyway, then they had a bunch of kids dressed up like stormtroopers and a bunch of dancing Darth Vaders. Awesome. And I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That must have been surreal.
So again, this is what these guys do all year round. Tonight they were at the Warriors game, next week they're at the Pistons, a week down the road they're going to be at the Knicks. They go on tour through the NBA for all this. The contortionist who can draw a bow and arrow and hit a balloon, she's at every game. The Chinese chick on the 10-foot unicycle, she's at every game across the country. Okay, it's a whole network that they got going on here. But at some point in time, said someone I need a theme for Star Wars. What better way is can I get a bunch of dancing space Hitlers and a bunch of dancing space Nazis? And that's the act. No,
it's amazing how we can't let go of these insane properties. Not everything is a universe. Sometimes things are stories that have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we're gonna get deeper into this. You and I were talking before we started recording about how we simply aren't creative as a society as we were before, and we're holding on to these things. Look, man, we had 9 episodes of Star Wars. It was about this family. They had some superpowers. It's a really messed up family. And now we got an end. It's over. It's good.
For better or worse, it should be over.
For better or worse, it's done. Yes, could you tell more stories in the universe? You could. Could you come up with a new and more interesting universe? Yeah, you could. I loved Andor. Doesn't need to be a Star Wars show.
Could have been any sci-fi show, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't see it because it's one of those things going back to the prequels. And by the way, never heard a bad thing about it. 100% of the word I heard about is best thing ever. It was involved with Star Wars.
It was a great spy show. It was
fantastic.
Then I was
I saw Rogue One, so I know how this ends. So,
yeah, exactly. And Rogue One, great one-off, right? Yeah. We don't need a Rogue 2. Like, it was
I'm
a
okay
great
with
story.
Rogue 2. We can do Rogue 2. I don't want to do Rogue -1.
Right.
Give that to Godzilla. All right.
It's we got to be able to let things go. And the problem is, like, I don't want to tell people to stop listening to this podcast and go start listening to another one. But I was listening to a show called Behind the Bastards.
Okay.
Have you ever? It's
not familiar.
Forgot who the host is. Just learned about it, but he talks about the horrible people in history. And nevertheless, like, he'll say how, hey, this one person took over this company and really altered how our lives live. And he did a great one on this guy who took over the airplane industry. And a great point. And he made this other point when he talked about this guy, forgot his name, but he took over GE, right? And both times they made a point about how in like the 50s and 60s, the CEOs of companies were people who did stuff in that company. Like, up until the 60s, all the CEOs of airlines were pilots. So they were worried about how nice the planes were, how great the ride was, how satisfied the customers were. And, same with GE. They invented things. They were more worried, what's the next greatest invention that we can make to make people's lives easier? And then these new guys start taking over in the 80s, and all they care about is that line goes up and left. And he had a great quote where he was like, corporations used to be companies that did stuff. Now in America, corporations are holding companies that buy and sell other things to make money. They don't make anything. They buy and sell other companies to make imaginary money. So I think I like to think about that, like when you look at Disney. It used to be owned by Walt Disney, guy who drew stuff. He was worried about making the next great cartoon. Now it's run by Bob Iger, who's a business guy. His only skill is business. He's never drawn a thing in his life. So he doesn't care about creating the next great thing. He worries about how to exploit what he already has, because he's not in the business of creating things, And so, like, you wouldn't need to acquire Star Wars or acquire Marvel if Disney was owned by a creative person.
So big deal just happened 6 days ago, as at the turn of the year, Walt Disney's Steamboat Willie, which a lot of people think is Mickey Mouse's first cartoon, but it's apparently his third. It's just the first one that got published, because they did 2 cartoons that didn't get released yet. And then while they're working on Steamboat Willie, the Al Jolson movie came out. I don't want to call it The Medicine Man. That ain't it. Whatever.
I was gonna say The Candyman, but it's not Candyman either. It's I can't remember now.
It's
the
first talkie. It's the first talkie, and it's got music, and everyone just lost their fucking mind to it. And so they went. Walt Disney was like, "We got to put sound to this," and so that's why that got bumped up to from 3 to 1. Anyway, Steamboat Willie is now in the public domain. That means we can use any image we want from it or any style of it, as long as we try and make it ours. Have you seen the Steamboat Willie in the past?
Yeah, one of the first things I watched when Disney Plus first came out, I naturally got it because I'm a huge nerd and I wanted to watch like Lion King. I wanted to watch the Marvel movies that I didn't own yet, that kind of thing. And I think Black Widow was going to come out on Disney Plus because it was during the pandemic or something like that. So I was like, okay, well, I'll pay whatever it was, $9.99 or whatnot to get it. And going with my daughter, I was like, hey, you want to see what the first thing, because they had a Mickey Mouse section. So I'm like, you want to see what the first thing they ever did was? And so we went back and watched Steamboat Willie. It was like probably the first or second thing I watched on Disney Plus. So I'd seen it before, but it was cool to watch that history on Disney Plus as well. So it's a cute little cartoon.
It's cute, but it's also very bizarre. Even if you try and just like, well, this is that product of its time. It's I'm not saying like it's offensive or anything. It's not that. It's very benign.
Yeah, it's when animation itself was a novelty.
There you go. In fact, the craziest thing is that Mickey Mouse is a stowaway on the ship.
Yes.
Takes over the ship, and then at the end of our 8-minute journey, he gets thrown in the brig and has to peel potatoes. And he's just like, well, YOLO.
Yeah, this is what happens when you stow away and take over a ship.
That's how it went down. And then,
at least I got a ride.
On the ship. So it's Yeah, and then there's a whole musical number. He's playing the xylophone on
Yeah.
some cow's teeth. I think at one point he milks a pig. It's
Yeah.
I don't know, it's all over the place. The Jazz Singer is the movie I was looking for with Al
There it
Jolson.
is.
That was the
Yeah.
first talkie. Um, Anyways, now we're in this position where you can do anything you want with this property. You can just pirate it and put it on YouTube. You can actually sell physical copies of it if anyone is dumb enough to give you money for it.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many different people have tried to sell you Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
That's a George Romero movie. I know you know this, but for those who don't, it's a George Romero movie. It's if not the first zombie movie, it's one of the first zombie movies, arguably. And George Romero and his production company accidentally forgot to put the copyright on it. I guess things were a little more complicated. Nowadays, you just put the C with the circle and the year, all rights reserved. That's it. That's your copyright.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They neglected to do that, so it got bootlegged real quickly. And then they lost the case over it. Everything. There was a whole they took on the mob. That's how
Yeah.
dumb they were. And thankfully, only just lost the case. Didn't lose their lives. But anyway, when physical media was a thing, you could find 5 different distributors for Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
So anyway, what do you want to do with your share of Steamboat Willie, Jaimel?
Steamboat Willie is like you've got this great. I think the only use for this is, it'd be really cool. Show it as an animated feature before any Disney movies that you have at your theater.
Okay.
If you own a theater, do showings, do educational showings, do cartoon workshops. We're all going to get together, watch Steamboat Willie, and we've hired this artist to come in and teach you how to draw Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Like creatively, what are you going to do? It's still Mickey Mouse. So what are you going to do? It's Mickey Mouse without any. It's like, what if Superman went into public domain right now? You're not going to be able to write
too, by the way.
But you're not going to be able to write a Superman story. You can't fly. You can't throw in kryptonite. You can't use Lois Lane.
No,
you can't use.
Actually, that's actually not going to be true. In 2034, we will have the option to use Superman, Lois Lane, Clark Kent, and Metropolis.
But you can't use kryptonite.
You can use. I don't know about kryptonite.
Kryptonite was invented by the radio serial.
He can fly as long as he's that first Action Comics iteration.
Exactly.
He can do everything in that. All right. He can only leap tall buildings.
He can only leap tall buildings. He was super strong. He didn't. I don't know if he had his X-ray vision. I have to read Action Comics #1. I can't remember, but it's not the version that you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to go out of your way to use Steamboat Willie to make a Mickey Mouse, it's good as a meme.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make a Mickey Mouse meme, like Tom Beelan, awesome artist, legendary guy that I know here in the Bay Area. Has a great book called True Stories, Swear to God. If you can find that in print, cool. And the Chupacabra, if you find that in print, cool. Get it, support Tom. But he had a great little meme where he was Mickey and Minnie lying in bed with Tigger, which also in the thing, and it was like free at last, and they're all just enjoying a cigarette, like lying together after waking up in the morning. But it's cool as a meme, right? But what's the point? It reminds me of that Winnie the Pooh blood and honey thing. It's, I don't know, man. You're still being incredibly derivative.
You can do the Mickey Mouse horror movie, and again, there 2 of those are already coming out now. They held them in the can just for this week, and then they're now they're coming out down the road.
But it's not Mickey Mouse.
No,
it's a person in a Mickey Mouse mask.
Mm-hmm.
It's you could have done that before.
Mm-hmm.
You got sued, but you could have done it before. Someone should make a new Steamboat Willie cartoon. Show what happens. You want to be creative. Show what happens after the boat lands. Put him in an adventure where he's done peeling potatoes, and now where was he going? You know what I mean? Why did he have to stow away? Where was he trying to get? Is this Mickey an evil Mickey? Is he on the run from Oswald? Right? What's going on with this? Do another animation. Don't put on a Mickey mask or draw lewd sex. It's so lowbrow. I'm gonna do something lewd. I'm gonna do horror. I'm gonna make him stab people. you're all you're doing is you're making the same jokes you want to make about Mickey because you're making it Disney, right? You're like, Disney would never do this, so I'm going to do it because it's funny. Really, it's not because it's funny, it's because it's dumb. It's derivative. It's not it's if you want to show what you could really do with Mickey Mouse and be creative, make another cartoon with them. Make another Steamboat Willie cartoon.
Right.
Make a character called Steamboat Willie who looks like the original Mickey Mouse, and it's not Mickey, it's Steamboat Willie, and make him go through some adventures. Like, I mean, if that's what you're gonna do, I once again, I find it hard as a creative person. I want to make my own stories. Like, I don't need stuff to come into the public domain before I can write a story. So, not to sound snooty, but it is what it is.
Snooty Jaimel is what we're going to call you from now on. Well, we're going to still take this piece of property from the public domain, and we're going to create our own 6 to 9 episode series for Netflix. So it's going to be Steamboat Willie.
Yeah.
Why is Mickey stowing away on this steamboat?
Why was he on the boat? What was he running from? What is he running to?
I think he killed a man.
Oh,
and maybe he didn't mean to. Maybe it was one of those things where boys were being boys and just did.
It's an accident.
Guy fell and hit his head or whatever, but now he's on the run.
Yeah, he was playing another guy's head like a xylophone, hit him one time too hard.
Ooh,
that's what happened. He was playing drums on the bongos, or he had a drumstick and it just like wrong angle went through the guy's head. Now he's on the run. There
you go. Now he's stowed away onto the ship, and he's somehow got a couple of people thinking that, like, oh, he's part of the crew. It's a steamboat. It's big enough, we don't know all 30 people on this ship or how many people. So, like, all right, yeah. Hey, would you take care of the comm? Guard the wheel for a minute here. And then he's like, all right. Well, look at this.
Yeah.
This is the American dream.
The only reason they noticed it was gone because he went off course, right?
Yeah.
They were heading, down the mighty Mississippi. He was supposed to go to Memphis, but he's trying to veer off towards Atlanta. That's when they noticed. But hey,
So he gets found out.
Yeah.
And they put him in the brig, and he's just peeling potatoes, and he's just like, well, this is the life I chose. That's how it goes down. But then, Jaimel, there's a storm. There's a storm on the river, and all hands on deck. And if they have to come to a conflict resolution where, like, we can keep this fool in the brig, or we need everybody we can get. He's going to help us keep the ship alive.
There
Otherwise, 29 souls will die with him. And they have a new understanding about each other.
But something has to happen. He peeled all those potatoes. Okay, before they land, he makes them all French fries.
Ooh.
Like he's got it. Like, you don't peel all those potatoes for no reason. You can't leave that dangling pot there, right? He's got to make them French fries, and that should ingratiate him even more to the crew.
I think the potatoes still stay where they are, but once the storm is done, he's like, "Yo, who's hungry?"
Exactly. You guys.
I got 100 peeled potatoes.
Yeah. What's up?
This is a recipe my grandmother taught me.
Yeah.
She's from France.
I'm just gonna fry these up.
And then they finally get to wherever the destination was, and that's the season finale.
There you go.
And but he's gonna what's the cliffhanger? What teases them for a season 2?
Oh, he steps off the boat and the cops are waiting for him.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's it. He's like, finally, I've got where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna see my sweet Petunia, which is like probably the original version of Minnie, and steps off. Cops are waiting.
Detective Duck.
Yeah.
Because I think Donald's hitting public domain like within the next couple of years.
Yeah, and we can wait.
We'll wait.
It's
just a silhouette, and
you
see a beach.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a silhouette. We wait till Donald hits.
He's got the sailor's hat.
Yeah, he's military police.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I think there you go, man. That's our new Netflix series of Steamboat Willie.
Hit us
up. We that's a copyright, by the way, 2024. So
first thing I created this year. Awesome. Good. We did this. It was
a collaborative effort.
Yeah. Hit us up, Netflix.
So there you go. So anything you're looking forward to in this 2024 coming up?
Oh man, a bunch of stuff, man. I'm looking forward to the new Star Trek, Discovery's last season.
Okay.
I've
Are they still in
already,
the future now?
yeah. That's their thing, and that's why I like it because you're learning new stuff and discovering new stuff with every season and every episode. Um, I think definitely already got treated to some new Jack Reacher on
Oh,
Amazon.
I've been enjoying the Jack Reacher myself.
I'm a big fan of those books. Been
Oh,
reading them for
okay.
about 15 years. They're great airport reads. They're just a lot of fun. And I love this adaptation. No offense to Tom Cruise, who really is an entertaining guy, but he's not Jack Reacher. All right. Jack Reacher in the book is this giant Aryan nightmare
Mhm.
who commands space as soon as he walks in the room, whether he wants to be noticed or not. Tom Cruise may have an intense aura about him, but guy's 5 foot nothing. I'm sorry. That's just, and he didn't even go blonde for the role. Like, it's not, the only thing you got weird, Tom, is that center tooth thing you got going on. Like, other than that, you know, Alan Richardson is much closer to the book. Honestly, when I read the book, I pictured Dolph Lundgren. It's almost like he's describing Dolph Lundgren.
Okay.
Because Alan Richardson is like, he's almost too pretty to be Reacher. Like, Reacher is a guy whose nose has obviously been broken, and
Okay.
Dolph Lundgren can pull off that "I've been punched" look, because I mean the guy's an actual fighter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's also got the mad intelligence behind his eyes, even when he's acting like a dumb character. Like, the
Mhm.
guy's a member of Mensa. He's incredibly smart, so he has a lot of intelligence behind his eyes. So like, I could see Dolph Lundgren pulling off like, I'm a grizzled MP, former MP. Like, you know, Dolph Lundgren can look rough if he
Figure.
wants to. He can look like he's been through a hard life. Like, look at his Drago in the Creed movie, right?
Mhm.
Like, so
Mhm.
he has the ability now, as that he's gotten older, to
Mhm.
look like he's lived a really rough life. And that's how Reacher is described in the book.
Okay.
Like
Do they make fun of his hobo tendencies in the book like they have been in season two?
it's a little bit better in the book because you have narration, internal
Oh,
narration. So it's actually a lot funnier.
okay.
Yeah, that's what's like, it's hard to do. That's the one thing in a prose that you lose when you go to series, unless you have a narrator just talking like an old noir film, like, you lose that narration. Um,
Hmm.
but whereas in the book, you see what other people's impressions are of Reacher, and like what he's thinking, what he's going to do, and everything. Whereas in the book, Alan Richardson just has to convey that cunning before he goes into something. So, but yeah, it's pretty spot on, pretty good at adaptation. They're doing the books out of order. They kind of started in the middle of the story, but or excuse me, they continue in the middle of the story. They skipped over a couple of books, but it's pretty good. I mean, I really enjoy it.
The
Really
only
enjoy
thing I have in common with Jack Reacher is my hotel room was also broken into this year, and they broke my toothbrush, and I couldn't have been more confused about it.
it. Wow.
But he was
Yeah.
also disappointed. He's like, "That's the only thing I owned."
Yeah. It's the only thing. He carries a toothbrush. I love the whole he buys clothes and then just changes into them.
Oh,
Yeah, it's great. Like his the best part is, like, the books do have it's very episodic, but there is an overarching story. So there are effects, like, so he does eventually run out of money,
yeah.
and so he just starts beating up bad guys and taking their money. And he's like, "Yo, it spoils the war, cool." So it's like, it's kind of funny. Like, when he takes on a drug dealer, he's like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna keep this." There's a scene this season where he gives the money to a church.
I was very surprised by that
Yeah.
because I was just like, I mean, you need to eat too, dude. Like,
Yeah, no, he gets his pension. He's retired. He gets
still
his
get his
pension.
pension, sure.
But the scene where he gives the church, it does happen. But there are a lot more scenes where he's like, I can use that, you know.
Right?
And he's like, I'm gonna keep that. Like, he's forever arming himself when he's like, oh, I need a gun. Okay, I'm gonna beat up this bad guy and take his gun. Like, I don't own a gun, but I'm gonna.
I've been enjoying the hard boiled New York detective on this
Yeah,
season.
yeah,
Um,
good stuff.
like I don't know what it is about him. He's kind of a cliche, but every time he interacts with Jack Reacher, like there's this weird respect Jack Reacher has. Like I don't
Yeah,
think this guy could beat up Jack Reacher at all, but he keeps talking mad shit to him. He's like, "I'm gonna fuck you up if you keep this up," and like he's
yeah.
like, "Never had anyone talk to me like this before. Like I feel kind of weird about it." Like he's
Yeah.
internalizing things. Like, oh, maybe you're not such a bad guy after all. Like some the smaller dogs to picking on the bigger dog. Like, oh, all right.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Like, I mean, they really that's a tip of the hat not only to the writing of the people who are writing this series, but also Lee Child, the author of the books. Like the characters, you know, for it being such a procedural story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, every book is the same. Jack's wandering around somewhere, sees someone in trouble, gets dragged into something, solves it with extreme violence, moves on. Like it's
Obladi
the
oblada.
equalizer, right? It's
Yeah.
the equalizer. It's kung fu. It's all those movies
Mm-hmm.
or TV shows, back in the day of, A-Team, Fall Guy,
Mm-hmm.
So uh but within that paradigm, the characters are really pretty fleshed out. The bad guys may not be, but the protagonists and the supporting cast is always pretty fleshed out in the books. Like it's pretty good. Pretty
Yeah.
good. Like the only thing that's changed is I think now he's writing with his brother, Lee Child is,
Okay.
and the mysteries have gotten a little more. It's a little harder to figure out who the bad guy is or what's actually going on. The
That's
mystery
better.
has gotten better, but other than that, like, no, it's pretty straightforward, and it's great airport read, as I like to call them. You're going to finish them in
Hmm.
about 2-3 hours,
Okay.
and a lot of fun. I got a whole shelf of them up there.
How many are
Yeah,
there?
there's like 17, almost 20 of them now.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking
He
hell.
they come out. They come out. I came in like 6 books in,
Mm-hmm.
and they pretty much come out yearly. So you're gonna get
Did
a
you
book
ever
of.
get into Remo Williams? I've never read any of the books, but like that
I
movie is
love the
forever
movie.
in my movie.
I love the
In my
movie.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the movie. Shout out to Kate Mulgrew. Um, because she was bad in that movie. Like
She's there. Like
she
I'm
was
not.
no, I
She's
mean she
not
was
a
a
joke.
hottie. She was
Oh
really
yeah, she's
pretty.
got a nice body.
She was really I mean, not to
She made
say
a
she's not
military army uniform look very good.
yeah, not to say she's not a glorious flower in full bloom now. I'm not gonna sit there and say she's ugly now. But what I'm saying is that Kate Mulgrew was pinup material back in Remo Williams.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I was disappointed they haven't made more Remo Williams. I'm surprised they haven't gone
Yeah.
back to remake Remo Williams. Like,
Yeah. Like I think we did get Remo Williams remade, and it's called John Wick.
hmm,
Little more
oh,
gunplay than Remo
a
Williams
lot
would
more
be,
gunplay.
but
But yeah.
like that's like Keanu Reeves could have been a really good Remo Williams, and I think that's really what.
I mean, no, nothing saying he can't still be Remo Williams right now. Like,
Yeah, but it would be John Wick,
there,
like or
there,
the or people it would look like the Matrix without the tech.
because like I in that one movie, and then there was I think they tried to do a TV pilot
Yeah,
that didn't do
yeah.
anything, but yeah, the president would interrupt. I remember being excited for that, and then the president interrupted everything, and they never reran it. I was like, anyway, um,
It
there's a
came
couple
on
card.
KBHK back in the day.
Did it?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
TV
that's where I
movie?
saw it. I saw it on KBHK.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure I saw the original movie on KBHK. I remember seeing on KTVU also.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Not sorry, not the TV show. I don't remember the TV show, but the
Okay.
movie, yes, the movie I watched on KBHK.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they definitely made a TV movie. They were
Mm.
trying to continue the story. I don't think Fred so and so was in it, but
Yeah.
yeah, they anyways, again, the president interrupted the night and that was it. There was no more Remo Williams after that. Um anyways, yeah, let's remake some Remo Williams, guys. It's been 35 years or
Yeah,
longer.
you could do that. Remo Williams is good. I'm
Yeah.
looking for a Buck Rogers remake.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been time too. Yeah, what was that?
yeah,
1982?
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, yeah. Actually recently I found out my wife is friends with Gil Gerard's daughter.
Neat.
Yeah, yeah. So she's pretty cool. But I don't. It takes all my power now to be like, hey, can your dad sign my DVD? Like, it takes everything in me not to ask her. But
she'd probably actually be like, "Oh, that's so sweet." Like I don't
I
see
don't
people
know.
banging down doors for Gil Gerard's these
Oh
days.
man, yeah, nicest celebrity I've ever met, Aaron Gray,
Okay,
by
nice.
far, by far. And I've met some greats like Christopher Judge, awesome human being.
Hmm.
A couple of people that I really admire from TV shows that I've watched and whatnot. LeVar Burton, every bit as
Nice.
sweet and great person in person that he is on TV. But the nicest person I ever met, hands down, Aaron Gray.
All
Hands
right.
down. Yeah, hands down.
It's always nice
God
to
bless
hear.
that woman. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. What else are you looking forward in 2024? We talked about some Reacher.
Gosh.
What is there anything like on
Yeah,
this spectrum?
Reachers.
Are you
You
like
know,
excited about any of the Spider-Man the side spin-offs?
nah, I mean, like I kind of want to see that the animated one, of course. I want to
Sure.
see. But yeah, nothing really grabs me. Like maybe some stuff will come out that I'm like super into. I heard Jordan Peele's working on something, but I don't know if that's this year or next year.
Hmm.
I think because it just got announced, so I don't. It's probably
No.
next year. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's funny. Like I don't know what to be excited anymore because things that I really love, people didn't like. Like I love the Marvels.
Yeah. The
And
Marvels was better than it should have been. Like I liked it a
yeah,
lot more than Captain Marvel.
yes,
Um, and I
because now
don't
you
feel
had a
like I
fully
needed
fledged
to
character.
see any of those TV shows. Like
No,
they did a pretty
no,
good job. Just like, oh hey, she's a fangirl. Oh hey, she's in the military.
I think the argument could be made that the Marvels is probably the best, or at least second best post Endgame movie
Hmm.
because it's better than Wakanda Forever. It's better than Ant-Man. What
Definitely
else
better than
came out? What else came out after Endgame?
Shang-Chi,
I think it's better than
Black Widow.
Shang-Chi. Yeah, definitely better than Black Widow. Uh, like yeah, I don't like. I mean, subjective opinion, of course.
Hmm.
Your mileage may vary, but it definitely wasn't a bad movie, and it was way better than okay. I think fight choreography was awesome. It was
They
funny.
did a good job with that triple threat action.
Yeah,
People phasing
those
in and out
warm.
and everything like that. That took a lot of work to choreograph.
Yeah, it was fantastic. The direction was great. It had some humor in it.
Mm.
I love the musical number, but that's probably
Yeah,
because
right.
I'm a Bollywood fan. So like, I love when you can throw a musical number in there and it actually makes sense.
Yep.
And it set up some great jokes as well. Um, so yeah, and everybody's like the villain. I'm like, look, man, you know what you need to know. Like, we don't need
Mhm.
a villain with pathos. Like Thanos is a overarching villain for 20 something movies. Yeah, and he got a whole movie dedicated to him where he was the protagonist. People forget that. In Infinity War, Thanos is the protagonist. He's not the good guy, but he's the protagonist. So of course you know his side. All you need to know in this movie, spoilers, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, is that this lady is mad because, hey, at the end of the movie, Captain Marvel went off, said, I'm gonna blow up that Supreme Intelligence. Yep, she did it. And it made life a lot worse for
Yeah.
everybody. That's all
I,
you need to know.
I love Tan
That's all you
Khaleesi's
yeah,
reminiscent about that. Like Captain
yeah,
Marvel looks intimidating and like hostile, and you're
yeah.
like, oh my god, this what is this creature from the sky that just destroyed my god? Oh no.
Exactly. Exactly. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know anything. You don't need to know her childhood. You don't need to know what she eats for breakfast on Sunday. You don't need anything about that. You don't need to know what she's going to do after she kills Captain Marvel. You don't need
It would be
anything
nice if I
other.
could remember her name.
Yeah. But no, not
That was a
really.
problem. That's a problem. It
Yeah,
would be
I
nice if I
mean,
could remember her name.
yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It would have been better if it was Ronan. Like bring back Ronan from
I mean, yeah, they can bring anybody back. Yeah,
yeah, but I mean, like, there's everybody has
Ronan's
throwaway
little
villains.
brother.
Like, I think what's funny is that a lot of these movies are literally comic books on screen. We finally got what we wanted, comic books on screen for
Mm-hmm.
good and for ill.
All right.
Like for every Doctor Doom, there's gonna be a Paste Pot Pete, right? And
Oof.
like,
I don't even
yeah,
know
no,
that.
exactly. The Paste Pot Pete I should have said for every Venom, there's a Paste Pot Pete because they're both Spider-Man villains, right?
Okay.
Everybody knows who Venom is. No
Mhm.
one cares who Paste Pot Pete is, who's also called the Trapster. But
Goddamn.
Spider-Man makes fun of him and still calls him Paste Pot Pete because that's hilarious. So like, but like,
World's worst
and
tongue
sometimes,
twister.
sometimes those villains come up like the Spot, which was used incredible.
Yeah, the Spot is
And
a motherfucker, dude.
but like he was a joke. He was a one-off villain in
And
the
it becomes
comics.
terrifying.
Yeah, so sometimes it works. So sometimes movies are going to have throwaway villains. You know, most villains are the antithesis of the hero. That's just these are tropes. You're watching the classic comics on screen, so you're going to get the classic tropes. Either you're in or you're out. Stop asking them to be something they aren't. Right? Like I think that's where we're at. It's like, everybody loved the first trilogy because it was something new and you'd never seen these things anymore. Well, guess what? You're just going to get more of the same. Only you're going to get less and less popular characters unless you let go of the actors who played them. Like sooner or later, if you guys stop playing around, you're going to have to watch a Night Thrasher movie, and like that's like,
I
hey,
still want the Fool Killer movie.
yeah,
Where's my Fool Killer movie?
Fool Killer is a great book. Like, also a great name. I was 12 years old, and I was so mad that I didn't come up with that. I was like, this is like an even better Punisher. Like the
I only
Punisher
discovered him like a year ago, like going
Yeah.
through some random box, and I was like, I love this guy. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't even know what he does.
Fool Killer. I discovered Fool Killer in the first trading card set of Marvel.
Okay.
And I was like, Fool Killer? What's this? I was like, first off, coolest name ever.
Yeah, right.
And then it was like, who's the bad guys? What, all fools?
Fools?
That's what his thing is, fools. If he judges you that you're a fool, like I'm like, this is the greatest guy. This guy would be so busy right now.
The premise is in the title, sir.
Yeah, I'm like,
he
this
kills
is
fools.
so great. Like it's like the Punisher is just a murderer, right? He's like but the Fool Killer's only killing fools, right? You know what I mean? The Punisher can kill a person who's just down on their luck, right? The Punisher can make mistakes. Fool Killer doesn't make mistakes, right?
You are a certified fool.
Fool, you a fool. I was like, this is the great. He's just a guy in a mask with a gun saying, "I'm gonna kill fools."
He only has 12 issues from what I can figure out, and it's I have to wonder, like, how far away were they from getting a Mr. T crossover? Like that's the
I pity the fool. I kill
that's the
him.
gimmick.
I don't just pity fools. I kill them.
It's a one-off. It could even be its own series, like if you play your cards right. But get
Mr. T and Fool Killer. The second thing we've created, Marvel, expect my unsolicited spec script along with Kush Hayes, Mr. T versus Fool Killer.
Oh yes, yeah. So they have to fight each other, and then they're like, "You're not so bad after all." Like, they're outside interference. Let's go.
Yeah, like he comes in, he thinks Mr. T is a fool, but Mr. finds out that Mr. T actually only pities fools.
He's the fools.
So then they team up on fools. Let's see, classic superhero crossover. They have to misunderstand each other at the beginning and then team up, and we just got to figure out a fool for them to take down.
That's a trade paperback and the movie, right?
Yes. I'm trying to tell you. So Disney, expect that spec script. You'll probably throw it in the trash, but if you don't, I'm going to scrub the serial numbers off, and I don't know what I'm going to call them. I'm going to call dumb hater or something.
Dumb hater. Killer Fool.
Yeah, exactly.
Come out with Killer.
Greatest name ever, greatest premise ever. And I've been mad for 35 years that I didn't.
It's so simple. It's one of those things where, like,
so simple.
If it was on your whiteboard, you'd have crossed off because, like, that's too. No. They're gonna expect something. They're gonna expect that. Okay. Well, my friend, we could go on and on and on. In fact, I also want to talk about a series a docu-series on HBO Max right now where I forget something so-and-so Natalie Grace. Well, do you remember the movie from 2009, The Orphan?
I think so. Yeah.
It's a horror movie about this family that thinks they're adopting a little girl, but it turned out to be like a midget from the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Well, 3 years later, this shit really happened in real life. Like but now it's getting to the point I was like, did someone get the idea from the movie? Like, this is wild. So like at first it's like, yeah, we adopted this little girl, and then one night, like, she was standing over us with a knife talking about like she was gonna kill us. Like, you know, like the first night they brought her home, they gave her a bath, and like, oh, our 6-year-old Ukrainian daughter has pubic hair. Like this is you know, like everything about this just goes terribly wrong. But now, like 4 episodes in later, for some reason the parents are now also assholes. To the point where, like, oh, they might have just been beating a midget this entire time. Like, it's like at one point I thought I knew where it was going, like the Orphan movie plot, but then it's veered to this whole other thing, and it's got some fantastic, just like independent movie tropes again, where like the father finds out through a friend sends him a text link, like, "Hey, dude, there's a story about you in the newspaper," and he picks it up and he's like, "Oh, apparently I'm being charged with 2 counts of child cruelty." And he calls up the sheriff, and the sheriff is literally eating a sandwich. Like, they have the real audio from it, and then they do a reenactment. So the guy like eats a sandwich and part of it falls in his lap. And he's like, "Oh yeah. We put a warrant out for you." And he's like, What? In context, out of context, the guy's freaking out like you would when you find out you're about to go to jail. He's like, "I don't know what to do. What do I do?" He's like, "Well, you could just let us come over and pick you up, or you could just be a man and turn yourself in." So I don't know what happens next, but like,
He
like,
says around this sandwich.
you just make this a lot easier.
Be a man. Nom, nom, nom. Like
So,
I am with this sandwich. We did the manly way.
Indiana sheriffs. There you
Wow.
go. So anyway, I would love to tell you more about that, but anyways, what can you tell folks that they should look forward to with NPC Comics in the
Oh my gosh,
2024?
we got some great announcements coming up. Something really, really big is on the horizon. I hate being the guy to say that, but we're just finalizing everything we're going to do this year. I know right away you're going to see us at BCAF in San Francisco this year, the MLK Day celebration. You will see us at VirtuousCon, a virtual convention. You can go to virtuouscon.com. We're working on some other appearances. We've got, like I said, one for us, very huge announcement. It's not going to rock the industry or anything, but it'll definitely do some big things for us.
Okay.
So we're going to make that announcement, and that will decide the repercussions of that will decide everything we do for the last 9 months of this year. So hopefully, you'll have some stuff, but be on the lookout for more Scrap by Fred McKinstry. Be on the lookout for more High Park by John Lee, both of which had successful Kickstarters last year. So we've got those series coming this year. I think I have a new project on the horizon. So looking forward to announce that. But yeah, just pay attention to our social media at NPC Comics and our website, npccomics.com. Hopefully, by the end of January, you are excited as we are. So.
Well, I can't wait for you to come back on the show and tell us what that big announcement is when you're ready.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm excited already, and I only just heard that much. So
yeah, it's big. It's big for us. It's not going to change the world or anything, but it's really big for us, and it's a great next step. So, want to temper expectations.
All right. Okay.
We're not going to make any new GI Joe comics or anything like that. But we are gonna take a huge leap and as a business. So yeah.
There you go. Okay, we'll bring you back on for that later. Folks, you know what I do around here? It's the Waffle Box, friend of the family, Mike Fish. By the way, wish him well. He's feeling under the weather. They cut that New Year's germ, but I won't get into any more of it. Maybe I shouldn't even said that much, but wish him well out there on the social medias, kids.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's the Waffle Box, the original Waffle Box. It's the People's Podcast. You accept no substitutes because it is the best part of Wednesday. Coming to you all the way from the future home of Super Bowl 60. You love us because we do this. We do this because we love you. So, for Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Jaimel Hemphill, Steamboat Jaimel. I've been Kush Hayes, Steamboat Kush. You've been you, Steamboat you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the BosNet family.
YOLO.
Yeah. This is what happens.